Hi everyone, welcome to episode 43 of KNITLIB, the podcast. My name is Susan and welcome to my little corner of the internet that's all about knitting and books and crafty things and my life and all sorts of fun stuff. Yeah, if you're a returning viewer, hello, welcome back, yay, I'm finally back, woohoo. If you are a new viewer, thanks for taking a little bit of time today to check out my channel. I hope you find something here that you can connect with and that you like what you see, and if you do, give a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button for updates and all that jazz. Yeah, so it's Monday morning. It's Monday morning. About 9 o'clock Monday morning. I am working a little bit later today, so I thought I would take this morning to record an episode. I tried to do this yesterday, and it's this whole sordid tale of, I recorded it like 3 times, and the main reason why I kept recording so much is because I would record and then I'd have to stop because the cat was being completely bonkers, and then I also was kind of stumbling over what I was saying, and I don't know, for those of you that watch this channel and are also knitting podcasters, knitting YouTubers and stuff, you probably know how this goes. It's just, it was an off day. I was trying to force it and it just wasn't coming. So I thought, you know, I have to stop getting in my head all the time and just sit down and do it. So that's what I'm going to do. Yeah, and I want to thank you for those of you that have been watching, and I put a post recently on my Instagram. I'm KNITLIB on Instagram, kind of talking about how much of a failure the previous recording process was for me that I did on the weekend, and there were so many kind words, and I want to say thank you, everybody, for all of your kind words and for letting me know that you watch this and that you don't care if I have a lot of things to show you or if I don't have a lot of things to show you, that, you know, you think that this is worthwhile. Thanks. What are you doing, kitty? And now the cat, as soon as I start talking, he starts going cray-cray. And that's just like my sweet old cat, Ramon. If we all remember Ramon, he, every time I would start to podcast, he would start meowing, like, obsessively, and Jessup doesn't meow, but he'll knock everything off of everything and chase things around the condo, and yeah, anyway, he's playing with a, looks like he's playing with a piece of plastic right now. Yeah, I'm going to digress a bunch this episode, but for those of you that have new young cats, do you find your whole place, your home, is just a giant disaster because your cat keeps finding weird things to play with on the floor that's essentially garbage, and you don't remove it because they're playing with it, and then suddenly your whole floor is covered in garbage? That's kind of what our place feels like right now. Anyway, I need a sip of coffee. I'm drinking coffee out of, it's very, very hot and very, very bitter, out of my F Off I'm Knitting mug from Chasing Fire Studio. They're local to me here in Calgary, and they make a lot of funny, cheeky mugs about crafting processes and telling people to F off. Anyway, they're usually at markets, and yeah, okay. Let's refocus. Let's do this. So, yeah, I was trying to record an episode, and I had this idea of wanting to shift my podcast a little bit to kind of focus on just like one project or one idea or one thing, and instead of me sitting here rambling for forever. And then from what I got from you guys, you'd like hearing me ramble forever. So I'm going to use that as proof for when my husband tells me to skip to the end of all of my stories because they're too long. And then I'll say, but there's so many other people that love it when I ramble. So yeah, you're giving me fuel for winning debates. What are you doing, kitty? He's playing with a little piece of plastic from something. Very, very cute. Yeah, so what has happened since the last time I checked in? A lot. We had spring break at work, which you would have seen a little bit of footage from in the intro, and it was exhausting. Probably the busiest that's been at the library, not thus far, but it's just bananas how busy it is. And you know, you don't have a dull moment. There's not really any time to sit and do nothing and to be bored. You're just like go, go, go all the time. There were hundreds of kids there all the time, constantly. And even for a fairly extroverted person like myself, I was even getting like super, super exhausted by the end of it. And what did I do at the end of the week? The end of spring break, I was just like, I'm toast. I don't want to do anything. I don't want to see anybody. Just like, no, I don't want anything. And I ended up, was it spring? Yeah. Spring break finally came and gone. So last week was the first week after spring break, and it was like so freakishly quiet. It was so weird. And everybody, I was looking at all my coworkers and we're just like, we got acclimatized to like the crazy busyness of the children's area, especially during spring break, that having like only 30 people in the entire 12,000 square foot space felt like barely anybody. And when we had a whole week of like 200 people in there at all times. Anyway, so that was good in the long run. And then we had Ryan, my husband. He is also an artist. Our background is in fine art. I currently work at the public library, and I'm a children's librarian, but all of our backgrounds and stuff come from working in fine art, studio art. And so he's still a practicing artist. I'm not as much anymore. But he had a exhibition that happened as well, which was really great. It was his first exhibition in a while, and it was a pop-up one that was called Banner, and it was installed. It was one piece done in one artwork done in 3 pieces, and it was installed in the old Night Gallery space. So for those that have lived in Calgary in the past, you may remember the Night Gallery was a nightclub located on First Street Southwest that they did a lot of punk music there, and there were like cabarets, and a lot of art people went there. I went there a handful of times when I was like 20, 21, but I didn't really, because I wasn't a really big drinker, and didn't like crowds. I didn't really go there all that often, but the place shut down, and then it eventually got purchased and renovated and was turned into an actual gallery for a while, and now it's just an empty space waiting for somebody to move in there. And so this beautiful renovated space, they've been having, there's an art collective, kind of, well, art duo, I should say. I keep having hair in my, there is this art duo that go by the name Kyle Marks, and they're two folks, 2 artists that one of them went to art school with Ryan all a million years ago, because they're all old, and and they set up these art events once a month that in sort of abandoned weird spaces that just for one night only. So you know, there might be a performance happening, or a like an exhibition of new work or something like that. So that's what Ryan was involved with, and it was a really great turnout. We had the piece was installed in the space, and there were tons of people that came out. It was great, and the work looks so good, and I'm going to insert right here some footage from the opening, and so you can also experience it. Okay, art things. Yeah, it really made me think about my own art practice, seeing Ryan's work up there. It was so great, and just made me think a lot about the lack of available exhibition space and studio space that is in Calgary, and how, there's this Calgary mentality. I still have hair everywhere. Oh my God. This Calgary mentality of kind of, there isn't enough space, there isn't enough of anything, so you got to just make it work. And that's kind of cool because there's a long history of that happening here in the arts community. And yeah, Kyle Marks is just another one of those things that are happening. So it's pretty cool. So if you're in the Calgary area and you're interested in this stuff, I will try to include more information if I can find it. Like, I think there's a Facebook group. So if you're in Calgary and you want to stay up to date, I'll include the Facebook group link in the show notes so you can check it out. And then I'll also include, if you want to follow Ryan's Instagram, I encourage you all to go and follow his Instagram. He doesn't update often, but he will update a lot of his artwork, progress shots, and previous artwork he's done. His art practice is self-deprecating. It deals a lot with kind of celebrating failure. And he has a meticulousness about his work that comes from being a printmaker. He's a trained printmaker, and the way he approaches all of his work is with this sort of level of anal retentive precision that drives me absolutely bonkers. Like, yeah. So if you want to take a look at his work, I will include a link to his Instagram down below too. So the main reason I wanted to record this episode was basically to talk about the current work in progress that I have on the needles right now, that I've been knitting on pretty monogamously, and it is my Sadultna crop by Caitlin Hunter, who is Boylan Knitworks, and here it is so far. Yay! It is a top-down colorwork yoke, rounded yoke, and I am in love with it. I really, really love it. I cast this on using Farmer's Daughter yarn in Juicy DK, and it's a 100% superwash merino. I love this yarn. It's new to my local yarn shop, and when they got it in, I thought, oh, okay, I am definitely going to get this yarn and do the Sadultna crop, because I know I was there when the yarn came in, and then Candace, who's Transitory on Instagram, you probably know who she is, and she's also the host of Pin Feathers and Pearls. She was in the shop too, and she was looking at yarn, and she was looking at Farmer's Daughter yarn specifically to knit the Sadultna top. And so I got inspired by her, or did she get inspired by me? Because we were both looking at the same yarn at the same time. She bought some yarn, and then I was working that day, so after my teaching shift, I went back and I bought almost the exact yarn that she got. She had slightly different colors, but it's beautiful yarn to work with. And definitely not on the cheap side either at all. This is a luxury indie dyed yarn just because of the exchange rate that comes from the US. And it's gorgeous. I love it. But because it was a little pricier, as a result, I'm just going to leave it here so you can see it. As a result, it kind of, when I got it, and I'm like, oh yeah, I love this yarn. But I had also, like 2 days before, just purchased these glasses that have progressive lenses in them. They have reading glasses in the bottom because my eyes are old. And also worn out from all of the computer and social media use. My eyeballs are so sore. So I had already spent like a freaking arm and a leg on these glasses, despite having insurance to cover $300 of it. It was still a lot of money. and then had to like cover some other bills and stuff. So I really did not have the money to buy this yarn, but I did. And I know I am not the only one that does that. I think the weird like retail therapy, consumerist, capitalist bullshit that that tends to surround the knitting community, especially with new yarns and all this stuff, we can very easily talk ourselves into purchasing really lovely colored things and lovely yarns and squishy because it makes us feel good. But anyway, especially when we don't have the money to do it. So I kind of shot myself in the foot buying my 4 skeins of the Farmer's Daughter yarn. I love it. I absolutely love the yarn. I love these colors. They have kind of a 1970s kitchen vibe to it, like this sort of olive avocado green. One of my, someone I was talking to, I think it might have been Kayla. Yeah, hi Kayla. Who's Knitsy Bitsy Spiders. She was mentioning, I think it was you, mentioning that it looked like a 1970s kitchen. So anyway, I love it. But because it kind of broke my bank, I feel like I need to knit it in record time and make it kind of worth it so that it's not just a languishing whip somewhere. Yeah, I feel like I need to knit the shit out of this. Otherwise, yeah, I don't want it to just sit there and just be like, oh man, you spent like how much money on that and then you're not even finishing it, because I have a lot of other projects that are like that need to get finished. Like before you even say it, before you say in the comments, how's Ryan's sweater going? I don't want to hear it because I'm doing this instead. Yeah, I love the sweater, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to insert some footage of me knitting this sweater and also some footage around Inglewood Bird Sanctuary, which is a sort of nature reserve in southeast Calgary, where it's kind of creepy there. And when I was trying to get out of my head from recording this video yesterday and like kind of failing at it, I went to Inglewood Bird Sanctuary to film my Sodoltna crop in the wildness, and I have some good shots of the sweater up close and also some shots of the yarn. So instead of me talking about what colors and stuff I'm using, I'll put that in the little clip that I'm going to insert right here. So enjoy this little tour around Inglewood Bird Sanctuary and me knitting all the stuff. So this got me thinking a little bit about when I was knitting the Sedultna top and how long it's been since I've knit like full-on color work, because Sedultna is a all-over color work sweater. It's pretty fun. It's pretty fun to knit. I really recommend the pattern. It's cropped, so it goes fast. It's the DK weight, so it goes fast too. I think I'm going to knit it again, definitely using different scrap yarn I have, but maybe do it in a worsted or an Aran weight just to up the gauge a little, and get something like cute and boxy. I think will be really fun, because I have a feeling this one's going to be a little more form-fitting, which is fine. But I was thinking about color work and how a long time ago, far, far away, a long time ago, I was super into color work. I was a color work fiend, and I was doing color work constantly, all the time. I'd always have an Excel spreadsheet open, like with designing my own color work stuff by pulling things from like Pinterest. So they would be like embroidery charts, and then transforming them into intarsia or stranded colorwork charts. An example of that, and I did bring over some examples. So an example of that would be these Afterthought fingerless mittens. So they have an Afterthought thumb in them. And this has a crab on it. And these were, I made these, I don't even remember when I made these. I made these ages ago. But the pattern, this wacky crab pattern, which is just so funny. This I pulled from a chart I found on Pinterest back when I used Pinterest a lot, and it was like some kind of embroidery chart, and then I put it into Excel, and I kind of copied it from the image that was there and put it in Excel, and then made a knitting chart out of it. It's not the best use of intarsia, like, or not intarsia, this is stranded colorwork, but I had to put in an Afterthought thumb because I didn't want to disrupt the crab pattern with gussets or anything. And so the Afterthought thumbs are not my favorite, but they work. And I like these. I wear them all the time when I was able to bike a lot more than I can. I currently can't bike because of my hand. I can't hold onto the handlebars very easily without like wincing all the time. But I made them nice and long and brightly colored so that you can see them when I'm writing and that my knuckles stay warm. And then the cuffs are nice and long. I love making fingerless mittens and mittens in general that have really long cuffs, because my jean jackets are usually a little like bracelet length. I have like a 90s style jean jacket, so my wrists are always exposed. These are really fun. The yarn, I know if you're a true colorwork person, if you do a lot of color work, if you are of the colorwork ilk of, say, Ellie from Skein-Deer, where you're hardcore colorwork person, or a hardcore Fair Isle person like Isolde, then you'll probably cringe when I tell you the yarn that I used for this is the white, is kind of like a Cascade 220, non-superwash, 100% wool. That neon orange is a worsted weight 100% acrylic. And then the cuff and the cuffs and all of that stuff, this purple, is a superwash, 100% superwash wool. Like, what a weird combination of things. I'm sure if I were to throw these in the washer, they'd like totally morph into something weird. Here's the inside. So you can see all of the wacky floats. The color jumps are so long that you have to tack the floats like a million times in order to make it so that your rings don't get stuck, or like long fingernails like I have right now. Yeah, I love these. These mittens are so silly. But yeah, I did a lot of color work, and when I think about a lot of the color work I do, which I love, like doing color work mittens. I have another pair of a pattern that I was working on that I just haven't done anything with really. Here's the first one. This is another colorwork one. These are my Mollifage mittens, but I need to sit down and actually, I wanted to adjust the pattern a bit more and actually turn it into a full mitten. So there's an option for a full mitten and a fingerless mitten. But I started designing these like last year or the year before, and this one's done too. I just haven't sewn in the ends. So like more simple color work where we have sort of like a checkered pattern right here. It's an elongated salt and pepper pattern, which I'm going to talk about again in a second. And then the thumb gussets are vertical stripes, and then finished off with twisted rib. And the yarn is Ancient Arts fiber, like this kind of yellowy chartreuse. This is Happy Dance, and then the pink is a Madeline Tosh, I don't know, Madeline Tosh DK and something in like a bright pink. Love doing colorwork mittens, and because you use up very little yarn, and I started thinking a lot about different kinds of mittens and why I love mittens so much, because they're quick to do, they're quick to finish, especially when they're done in a worsted or a DK weight. And if you do follow Ellie of Skeyndir, she does a lot of Norwegian mitten knitting, and all of her mittens are fantastic. Her color work is brilliant. And it made me think a lot about the origins of why I love color work, and it all comes from growing up in Newfoundland. So I grew up in Newfoundland and Labrador, particularly in St. John's, Newfoundland. But as I like to joke, I get my bay cred from spending all of my summers in Twillingate, which is in the far northeastern part of the island. It's like, if Newfoundland is shaped kind of like, maybe I'll put a little map picture, and I'm like, I would spend all of my summers there, and I'm going there again this summer, which I'm really stoked about. But growing up in Newfoundland, I think I took it for granted, and I think maybe a lot of us that grow up there and then move away, you take it for granted the amount of knitwear that's around you. Everybody, when I was a kid, everybody knit. Like all the grandmas, all the women knit everywhere around you. And knitting was a very big part of the cultural makeup of Newfoundland, and particularly mittens and socks. My grandmothers knit so many mittens and so many socks. And the mittens that I kind of grew up around are colorwork mittens. And I started doing a lot of like researching different traditional knitting patterns from Newfoundland, but until very recently there haven't really been any books or any documentation about this, like about knitting in Newfoundland, and like vintage knitting, traditional knitting. Kitty, oh, he's up on our studio table thing, getting ready to knock over all the stuff. So I was obsessed with these mittens, especially because you know, it was so hard to find information about it when I started getting interested in it when I was in art school, and wanting to take traditional Newfoundland knitting patterns and putting them into my own work. And where I would find most of my images of knitting, of mitten patterns anyway, is in artwork, specifically through David Blackwood's prints. He's a printmaker. He does really spooky, lovely like etchings. They're fantastic. I'm going to insert a few here. And that's where I was pulling all of the patterns for my knitting patterns that I would do, whether they would be, whether they were being used in mittens or in hats or in sculptures or something like that. And one of the things I did pull, like from those patterns, was these. Should I show you this or should I show you this? So I'm obsessed with Newfoundland mittens, and the similarities between Newfoundland mittens and mittens that are from Norway, that are from Sweden, that are from Scotland, Estonia. Like, there's so many similarities of these two color striking mittens, but what make Newfoundland mittens different is that they typically will have the index finger separated. I'm gonna sneeze. Okay, let's go back. I sneeze. So it would make Newfoundland mittens unique, distinct from those other two colorwork mittens, is that the index finger is usually always separated for a trigger mitt. And they would also include a graphic pattern on the back of the hand, just like from basically here to here, then from here to fingers, and then all on the palm of the hand would be done in a checkerboard kind of salt and pepper pattern. And then the cuffs would be striped, typically. And yeah, so I would bring that a lot into the artwork and stuff that I was doing. And recently, like as of 2018, there was a book published by Christine Legros and Shirley A. Scott called Saltwater Mittens from the Island of Newfoundland. Here's the book, and you can kind of see just from the cover what I'm talking about for the kind of style of these mittens, these colorwork mittens. This book is fantastic. If you're interested in knitting history, Canadian knitting history, I strongly recommend finding a copy of this book, either at your local library, at your local yarn shop, or I know you can order it on Amazon as well. It's fantastic because it's part cultural survey, and then it has a whole bunch of knitting patterns in there too. But what I love, you can take a look at these trigger mitts here. The pattern that goes up the thumb, that's pretty fun. But for the most part, they all kind of look like this. They're brilliant and usually worked in, yeah, two colors. They're awesome. I have, let me find. So what I want to show you is actually this pair of mittens, because these mittens are very similar to a hat that I made a few years ago, where I would take traditional images or traditional motifs from a Newfoundland mitten, and I deconstructed it into a hat. And the hat is okay. I want to re-knit it and approach it in a different way. I think making it like a little watch cap type of thing. But here are the mittens, these trigger mittens. They're red and white, and you can see the index finger is separated, and you can see that salt and pepper pattern right here and the diamond pattern on the back of the hand. And then some kind of inspiration, the Bonavista, the lighthouse in Bonavista in the winter, so all of the white and the red, it's great. And then look, this is the hat that I made. So it's very similar. This hat I made ages ago, and it's different panels of stranded colorwork. And then these are patterns that are pulled from Newfoundland mittens. And then the top is like that. The brim is just a folded brim. And what I would change, because this hat is really big, like it's too big for me and my like really short hair now. It doesn't quite work. But I'd like to make it kind of like, make it shorter, make it like a beanie style kind of hat, and have a folded brim. Yeah, I think that might actually be pretty cute, and have this like great, you work it up in worsted weight yarn and in just two colors, and have, you know, basically a Newfoundland mitten but for your head. Yeah. So this was done a long time ago. I made one for Ryan. I made a bunch of them actually, because I made some for my family. I made one for my brother and my parents, and well, one for each of them. They didn't get like one and have to share. And here's one I made for Ryan. But again, like I made it, it's too big. It's way too big. It's too tall. It could be like a balaclava, really. But I do like the colors in this. And there's the top. It needs to be like cut right in half. Like it needs to be even, it needs to be super small and just sit on top of your head like a little hipster, like little hipster watch cap. I need to channel my inner fisherman is what I need to do. Fisher person. My inner sealer. Yeah, for fashion. Yeah. Anyway, those are pretty fun, and this book is fantastic. I've read through a lot of it. I haven't knit any of the mittens from here yet, but I plan on it. And the book is just it's very well written, and the images are just beautiful. It makes me miss Newfoundland. It makes me miss everything. Like just to take your pictures of your work all on the beach or something. It's just so great. So yeah, love, 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 love this book. Totally recommend it for a knitting book. Yeah. So what else do I have going on? I have just a couple of more weeks left before I start school again. I'm taking a class this summer, and I registered for my classes for the fall and for the winter of 2020. And if all goes well, I will finish my degree in April of 2020, if all goes well. So that's exciting. It was kind of nice being able to take a bit of a break right now, and to kind of re-energize and refocus. So I'm looking forward to starting school again. And I'm doing a graphic novels class, so I'm really excited about diving into that, and learning all I can about graphic novels and comics, because I actually don't know a whole lot, and I'm really excited to read more and to do a lot of reading a lot of criticism and surveys and stuff of graphic novels and comic books, and that's pretty exciting. What else? Trying to think. We don't have anything else planned coming up. Lies. So on the 13th, whatever the Saturday is, 13th. Yeah, it's Saturday the 13th. Is the Fiber Shindig, and I am going to Fiber Shindig. If you are going to Fiber Shindig, let me know. Leave a comment down below, and maybe we can meet up. For the first time in like 2 years, I'm not working on the Saturday of Fiber Shindig, so I can actually come this year. And I'm going to step outside of myself and actually do a little filming of it, so maybe you can expect a video. We'll see. Maybe I'll just drink a little and then build up my courage to film a lot of the Fiber Shindig and film some people and chat to people. If you see me there, please come and say hi. I like talking to people. I can be a little shy sometimes, but yeah, just if you see me and you recognize me, please come and say hi. Fiber, what did I call it? Fiber Shindig. I was about to say Fiber Frolic, but that's something different. Fiber Shindig happens twice a year in Calgary, and it happens in the fall and in the spring. And it's not Edinburgh Yarn Festival at all, but it is like a marketplace for makers, for yarn producers, for project bag makers, and all that stuff. And it's pretty great. There's no like presentations or classes or anything that you can take, but it is kind of fun to go and look at all the different things people have to offer. And then I'm hoping to go there early and then stay for a while so that I can knit for a bit and all that stuff. So expect some stuff from there. And also, if you are living in Alberta, if you're watching this and living in Alberta, next week, so April 16th, Tuesday, is our voting day. It's election day. We're having a provincial election. If you are undecided about where or how you want to vote, or if the platforms of all the different parties are really confusing, I really encourage you to check out Vote Compass. Vote Compass is awesome. I've already recommended it to like 5 people. For those if you're undecided, Vote Compass will go through and ask fairly general questions that are related to the different platforms of all the parties, and it will give you a graph of where you fit, like socially and sort of economically. Is that right? I don't know. In physically within those party groups. So the answer may surprise you. Maybe you think you are a staunch UCP, like that's it, the United Conservative Party, but then you do Vote Compass and realize maybe you're a little more orange. And when I say orange, that's a good thing. Orange around here is a good thing. It's not crazy, weird, dumpy guy down south. It's orange is NDP, the New Democrat Party, all through and through. And they're the folks that have been in charge now for the last few years, and Rachel Notley is, in my opinion, doing an amazing job. And but I'm not here to tell you to vote NDP. I'm just here to tell you to make up your own mind and do a bit of research, do Vote Compass, and vote for the party that makes the most sense to you. But also, if you believe in children, if you believe in children and social services, and that women should have control over their bodies, and that you shouldn't out kids that are questioning to their parents, stop this asshole and go make up your own mind. So anyway, that's my whole thing. Please go vote. Go vote. I'm voting early this week and for the advanced poll. And yeah, go vote. Go vote. You can't complain if you don't vote. So hey, do it. Exercise your right, your democratic right to vote. And with that, I hope that you enjoy the rest of your Monday, the rest of your week, and we'll check in with you again soon. We'll see you later. Bye.